welcome back. So now let's start discussing about the first type of operator, which is arithmetic operator. Okay, arithmetic operators are the same that you have learned in your school days. Okay, let me give the heading: arithmetic operators. Okay, so these are your plus, minus, addition, subtraction, or division, multiplication, those operators. Okay, let's see. Let's take an example. Suppose I do 11 plus 3. Okay, and again, I'm not writing print statement. As you know, notebook will perform addition. So 11 plus 3 is 14. Awesome. Suppose I perform 11 minus 3. You can give space in between, no space in between, anything is fine. 11 minus 3, 8. Perfect. If I do 11 into 3, and if I run this, it is 33. Perfect. Interestingly, if I do 10 divided by 3, now what is 10 divided by 3? 10 divided by 3, or for that matter, if I do 10 divided by 5, what is 10 divided by 5? 2, right? But if I run this, I get 2.0, which is what? Yes, it's a decimal number or a floating point number. So AJ, why is this happening? So this is a very, very interesting rule. Okay, it is a very, very interesting rule. So note, I'll write note for your reference. Note, when you perform int plus int, the result will be an integer. In fact, when you do int minus int, the result will also be an integer. If you do int multiply by int, again the result will be integer. But when you do int divided by int, then the result will be float. Okay, int divided by int, the result will be float. Very important. Why? Because as you can see, in these cases, if you're dealing with both integers, there is no chance to get a decimal number. But only the case with division, if you divide two integers, you get a decimal number. There is a possibility of getting a decimal number. For example, if I go here and if I write 10 divided by 3, you know 10 divided by 3 is 3 point recurring 3, so 3.333. So there is a possibility of having a decimal point. That's why Python makes this rule. If whenever I am dealing with division, my result will be in float. Okay, because I want to make it constant in the form. If whenever division happens, the answer can be in float. So let's make it float always. So that's why 10 by 5 is completely dividing 10, but still the answer was 2.0, which is a float. Okay, very important. Okay, so this one thing you can remember. Second interesting thing is, suppose you perform 4 plus 2.3, integer plus a float. If you run this becomes 6.3. What is the logic? Logic is, when you add an integer to a float, both are numbers, so addition can be performed. But the resultant will be a float because there is a possibility of having a float, and that's why answer will be float. In fact, I'll give you a rule. Whenever you perform operation between two integers, okay, or I would say between two numbers, result will be in a form that does not lead to any information loss. That means when you're adding an integer to a float, it will make sure that there is no information loss, and hence it will give you floating point as output. Okay, but if you extend this idea, if you say 2 plus aj, now think about it. Does 2 plus aj makes any sense? You're adding an integer to a string. It doesn't make sense. String plus string performs string concatenation. Number plus number performs addition. Number plus string is not a valid operation. It gives you another type of error, which is type error, stating that it is invalid statement. We'll understand this moving forward. Okay. Similarly, just to give you examples, if you do 9 minus 3.5, okay, even subtraction of integer and float will give you float. Even multiplication 4 into 2.2 will give you 8.8. Okay, and by default, as you know, if you do 12.5 divided by, let's say, 6 or let's say 5, okay, this is also floating point. Okay, so these things you can keep in mind, but very importantly, where many people make mistake, if you do 10 divided by 2 or 15 divided by 3, it will not be 5. It will not be 5, it will be 5.0. 5 is integer, 5.0 is float. Okay, with this we are done with the most basic arithmetic operators. Okay, in the next session we'll talk about some new arithmetic operators which most of you might be learning for the very first time. Okay, so see you there. Thank you.